Oh, see, this is the shaila. Can kedusha compete with klipa? Don't say this. That's it. It's the rock bottom question. Yeah or no? There was a meeting. There was a meeting of mashpiyim. My brother-in-law was there, Mendel Gordon. He was shocked. He war geworden eis Mensch, because people were saying, our method is not working. We got to go back to the old fire and brimstone, Shregze. What are you saying? You're saying Chassidus doesn't work? Plus, you're giving up the program? This is the mashpiyim. He was in shock. This is the bottom line question. Is Chassidus, is a lakus attractive enough, gishmak enough, to compete with Nadish Taivas? If the answer is no, then let's go home. Forget about it. So we met beginning of last week. Was it last week? Anyway, we met with 5 guys in Gansenarup. The Sprach, the things they said, not only the apicursus, but the grobe apicursus. It was so mias that I'm sure that al pi halacha, just to hear what they were saying. And I tried and did for an hour. It's just getting worse. So I said, listen, let's stop. This is not going anywhere. Let me make an assumption, and tell me if I'm right or wrong. My assumption is that the reason you're angry and upset and disillusioned is because you thought that Chassidus is much bigger, much deeper, and much greater than what you were actually given. You thought Chassidus can change a person, can change the world, can ibekeren, and it turns out Nadishkeiten with politics, with Rabbanim, you're disappointed. So really what you want is more Chassidus, not less. If that's true, then let's talk. If you don't want Chassidus, so go marry a shiksa and sei mir gesund. Then why are we arguing? What are we talking about? They got very quiet. And for the next 2 hours, we had a very good conversation. So we have to assume, just like we used to do it with freie people, they don't really want to be frei. They're disappointed and disillusioned with the Nadische Yiddishkeit that they were given. And that turns out to be true. The same as now, in our case, the intelligent Bachrim and the idealistic Bachrim, they expected something that was huge. And it turned out to be... So they're disappointed. And they're going to look for something bigger. Of course, they're not going to find, so they'll take drugs and destroy themselves in Fartik. So the shaila again is Chassidus, does Chassidus have what it takes or not? I mean, I'm paraphrasing.
I think you have to make a distinction between the intellectual ones and the ones who have learning disabilities. Some kids, it's not a matter of expectations, there's just never a position for them.
Oh.
It's not like they're disappointed, they just don't know what it is.
But that's already a detail. Can they be Chassidim without the intellectual?
Right.
The answer always was yes.
Disappointed.
All the Bachrim that hung around the Rebbe and Fabringens, they still can't read Hebrew. Some of them. And you know who I'm talking about. But they were Chassidish Yidden. So who says there's only one way to get into Chassidus? But they saw the Reichkeit, they saw the power, they saw the Geschmack in it. So what are we doing wrong that they're not seeing it? Why are they not seeing what we have that is
We have what we have. What we saw and what they saw is not the same.
okay?
I sit sometimes and talk to them about things of the Rebbe, different how things look. They listen, they look. Do they have something to visualize how it? I mean, they see a video, very good, but They weren't there. They're at Smeisai, and you get town stock coffers. You were coming on dollar and didn't have the biggest added keeper.
What's the difference?
We had our base of English.
What's the difference?
We had our base of English. Sure, it's different.
No, it's not.
Sure, it's different.
No, it's not.
Why not?
Who's chalishing for Abbas Hamikdash?
I'm saying, what's the difference if you didn't see the Rebbe,
In the
you didn't
Hanan.
see the Beis Hamikdash?
In the Hanamah, they're
Oh,
both.
you mean the difference if we didn't see the base of
Yeah,
English?
yeah.
That's why we're not polishing for the basic, for sure. Polishing to see the Rebbe. This generation.
I hear what he's saying.
Actually, you have to be a little bit careful that trying to get them to appreciate the Rebbe is actually turning them off. Because
Makes
it's,
them miss something.
it's
what he has.
unrealistic. You're telling them in order to be a chassid, darfst du lieb haben dem Rebbe. Okay, next. Moving right along. Because many years ago, we were sitting in Fabrengen in Morristown with Moshe Harrison, Yisrael Gordon, somebody else was different. We genommen reden, memories, this, Fabrengen, remember this. And one bacher said, excuse me, do I belong here at all?
That was
You
like
get-
from the early years from the Rebbe or from the Frierdiker Rebbe.
Was mir gedenkt.
Unless you can make it real, there's no point in telling them about it, because they can get
But
disappointed.
you're saying that the
So the Frierdiker Rebbe writes a long description of the Chavraya Kadisha, the Maggid's Talmidim, got together up on Ayutes Kislev, that is, on each one chazert something that, and you could see on each of them how they are reliving and what was the story? The story is important. In the Rishima, in the Sikha, the Frierdiker Rebbe is not saying everyone got excited about the Magid. No. They got excited via Chosed. The Magid was not their Rebbe. What they saw was the enthusiasm and the Ehrenkeit of the Chassidim. That inspired them. Same is true now. You don't expect a younger chassid today, when you talk about the Rebbe, don't expect them to get attached to the Rebbe. They will be inspired by how attached you are to the Rebbe. So who's the role model? You're the role model. I mean, if you spoke about Moshe Rabbeinu, so what, do you want them to be excited about Moshe Rabbeinu? They'll get excited about the fact that you have a chayas in something, that something is giving you tainug, and they want it. But you're the role model, not Moshe Rabbeinu.
That's what they said in Australia. Rabbi Grona had a lot of Chassidim. They didn't even know the Rebbe. They never saw the Rebbe, but a lot of Bab's Chassidim just because Rabbi Grona, he made them into Chassidim.
So that was always really the case. How do you get somebody to be the Rebbe's chassid if he never learned Chassidus, he never saw the Rebbe? How do you do that? First, you get him to want what you have. And then when they ask you, where did you get? And you say it's all from the Rebbe, oh, now they understand what's... But to stam come and say the Rebbe, the Rebbe, the Rebbe. Es hat nicht kein Tam. Anyway, so going back to the original question. How does Chassidus compete? Can it compete? How does it compete? Or better yet, how does it not compete? How is it completely above and beyond this whole narishkeit? That there's no competition. About a kindle, somebody asked, how is our organization different than other organizations? I said, our what? When did we become an organization? To be an organization, you have to be organized. Right. An organization? When did we?
Man sagt doch bei jedem, man macht das Seder einmal ein Jahr, vielleicht kann man nicht sterben.
We're not an organization. Which is what attracts people. Dafke, because we're not competing with organizations. It's an underinyan. It's l'chatchila ariber. So how do we make Chassidus l'chatchila ariber? very surprised. I met with this Galach from Basel. You know,
Who?
the Galach from Basel. It's going to go down in history. You'll read someday in a history book, the Galach from Basel,
What is what is
the restaurant.
Oh, you met a Galach in Basel?
Yes, Dorten can say that, yeah. Yeah, there was an article about it.
No, no, where?
Ah, you guys, you're living in the
We're
past.
living in the old times.
You're living in the past.
On the Leah salary, you don't make it to Basel often.
Yeah.
Well, we might make one for a moment.
This guy has a good salary.
This Galach likes to eat there, so he comes.
He eats there regularly, so he knows the whole Anash already. I can Shanalaman.
Schwarze?
We don't have white Galach here. Interesting.
So he's a Galach from St. Mark's, St. John's, whatever that the Grace does. He's Catholic. Frum. And he looks like Obama. He's good looking, he's articulate, lebedik. And he revived the church from the alte, zekrochene, frumme. He brought in chayes, and zingt, and danced. And he's a superhero by them, by the teenagers. He's like a rock star. He comes into the room, everybody gets excited. And so he's starting programs for teenagers, because that's how crime happens. They don't have what to do. Crown Heights never had programs for teenagers. He started it. Church is busy, people coming, going, sefrelach.
She brought up to the meeting.
So I asked him, so what do you teach? He said, good, it's good programs, very nice. What do you teach? What's your theology? So he got serious. Nobody ever asked him that. And he said, my message to them is that they are responsible for correcting the world. I was thinking, if you need a mashpia someplace,
We need a
Okay. Which surprisingly, I mean, it's nice. It's good to hear.
I mean, you said a very, very true thing.
Yeah. I expect them to say to convert all Jews and torture them to death. So I asked him, why? It's nice, but why? Why do we have to fix the world? He said, I don't know. Adarabba, tell me. I said, who cares that the world should be fixed more than the Creator? So Tikkun Olam is very good. Favemen. You have to do it because the one who created it is interested, has a vested interest to see to it that so you're doing it for him. Because it bothers him when people are not doing. His reaction was amazing. Yeah? He said, I knew it. All the years, he says, in school, in the divinity school. He said, all the years through school, I always knew it. I was never comfortable with what they were teaching me. Because they taught him that there's God in heaven and there's God on earth. The Father and the Son. The Son on earth feels the pain. It's negeya, he suffers with you, he cares what you do. The Father in heaven is in heaven, he doesn't. He said, I always knew that. That was backwards. That can't be right. The Son cares and the Father doesn't? He said, I always knew it. So we talked for Arichas that the Eibishter is an Eibishter because tut vei. And this idea that the Eibishter is untouchable and mekein zach nish negeya, nothing can hurt him, nothing can. Then what are you left with? So he got very excited about it. Which means, I mean, if he can hear it, if he can, then something's changed in the world. Something's happening that emes me'eretz titzmach, the truth is starting to become obvious, almost from sich allein. Because, nobody was makar of him. So, how do we present Chassidus, present the Eibishter, and present the Rebbe in a way that the average bacher will find it irresistible? So, one thing we know for sure, that you can't force anybody to do anything. That's a klor. I mean, that's off the agenda. You're not going to force anybody to do anything, including the most chassidische bacher. It doesn't work. Sie geht nicht. It's not going to work to ask them to simply follow rules. It's not going to work. So the truth is that the only thing that can work is a geschmack in Chassidus. It's the only thing. How do you convince somebody before they go and try the drugs with the girls, with the mices, to find out that it's not all that it's cranked up to be, and that Chassidus, Edelkeit, Gettlichkeit is really much more interesting and much more satisfying? How do you convince them of that before they run out the door?
And also intervention afterwards. How do you guys that already have experimented and explored?
Right. So
Like I said, you can talk to them for an hour, and in the one ear and really out the other ear for the moment. How do you?
but for that there are programs. You're all doing that. The question is l'chatchila. How do you preventative?
Also a question, how do parents who had kids, they had boys, in other words, 20-something years ago, and the younger ones, what they had in the last 10, 15 years, they don't know how to relate to them. It's a whole different way of relationship from a father and a mother to a 16-year-old today than it was 16-year-old 25 or 30 years ago. If it's the parents have to show more warmkeit, fathers should take, I tell different fathers, take out your son sometimes. Go drive with him, take him for a pizza, go eat with him. Show him you love him more, show him you give him more attention. And then maybe you'll have more of a bond with him, because they need that more, I think.
That's a gerecht. It's very right. Except don't use the word love. It's such a bad word. It's such a verplanterte. Show your son you love him. I don't know how you do that. I don't know what it means even, because the word is azay verpatschkit. Yeah. But I said to some parents, get closer to your daughter. How? She doesn't want to talk to me. You don't have anything to say. Of course she doesn't want to talk to you. You have nothing to say. You don't know what to say. You're going shopping. Ask her to come with you. You're going up to ask her to come with you. So the mother said, why? I said, oh, why? Look, what are we going to talk about? Don't talk about anything. You're going somewhere. Ask her to come with you. Yeah, why? What, your relationship is so artificial that if you don't have anything to say, then you can't be in the same room together. The Frierdiker Rebbe, when he started working in Klauarbeit, the Rebbe Rashab would buzz him and say, "Kennst du reinkommen?" And he would go in and sit, and the Rebbe Rashab would do his whatever the Rebbe was doing. The Frierdiker Rebbe would sit. Favos? Favos, because I'm your father. So you want to call that love? Better not. Just call it parenting.
Hang out together. What do you think? We go together.
I miss you. Why? What do you want to tell me? I don't want to tell you anything. So the natural comfort is missing. You're not comfortable being in the same room together. No, just be there. Every father went out to work in the fields. He took his kid with him. Sat on the horse while they plowed. What did they talk about? They didn't talk about anything. Anyway, so that's with the parent dilemma. The fact of the matter is that many years ago the Rebbe proclaimed Shnas Ben Ubas. What year was that?
Shnas?
Ben Ubas.
Shnas Ben Ubas.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. Yeled v'yalda. Shnas Yeled v'yalda. And the Rebbe explained.
Shnas HaChinuch
Shnas
is
HaChinuch
Lamed Tes.
Lamed
Lamed Vav. Shnas HaChinuch is Lamed
Maybe
Vav.
Shnas HaChinuch?
I don't know. No, Yeled v'yalda.
No, yeah.
And the Rebbe explained it.
Oh, let's see what Hashem started.
That he's calling it Yeled v'yalda, not Ben Ubas, weil es hat nichts zu tun mit Eltern. This is not about parents. This is a boy and a girl, not a son and a daughter. That the Hashiv Lev Oves al Yedei Bonim probably began that year. Children are either good or bad on their own. Parents have very little to do with it. That's the fact of life. Children turn out good, and you have no idea why, because from the parents it shouldn't have happened. And then kids turn out bad, and it shouldn't have happened. It has nothing to do. Of course, you still have to be a parent, and you still have to have a tata and a mama, but that's not what's going to make or break. There's something where the children have a direct connection to the Eibishter, and that's where it comes from, and it's just unbelievable. I want to tell you an interesting, I don't know if I told you the Maisa. A 16-year-old girl, like Bekitzer the Maisa. Among all the other teenagers, she was the Bardas. Gelassen, normal, you can talk to her, not like a typical teenager. And she wanted to talk to me privately, and she tells me her story. Bekitzer, when she was 9 years old, her parents got divorced because her father had somebody else, whom he married. So she went to live with them. The stepmother hated her, made her miserable, and threw her out. So she went back to live with the mother. A half a year later, the mother found the Psashegets and moved in with the Shegets, and she wasn't invited, so she went to live with an aunt. By the aunt, she was very, very happy. The aunt was a little more Yiddishlach, sent her to the local day school. She loved her aunt, and she loved the day school. And there was a rabbi there that she loved very much. She loved to learn. It was exciting. It was nice. And the rabbi, in the middle of the year, killed himself. You know who it is. So she was devastated. In the meantime, somebody there, that she wouldn't tell me who, was abusing her and threatening that if she said anything, he'll kill her brother. So for 3 years, she never said a word. The next year, the day school got a new rabbi, and she loved him even more. He was better. She loved to learn with him until she found out that he was molesting her best friend, and she had to go to court to testify against him at 11 years old. That doesn't end there. The next thing is her aunt came down with cancer and died. So now she's 15 years old. She lives alone in the house that the parents abandoned. She goes to school, supports herself by babysitting for the shliach in town. Never told the shliach any of this. Garnished. How did she know the shliach? He did the funeral by her aunt. So I'm sitting there, and so then she says, okay, so now I need your advice on something. I said, you need my advice. I said, you're so strong. You're such a mensch. Heramaisa. She says, I'm strong? And she thinks a minute and she says, no, I don't think so. Of course, I mean, God gives you the strength to handle whatever you have to handle, but to say, I'm strong? So I offered her a job in 770 to become mashpia. You hear what's going on here? So after that, this was about 3-4 years ago, after that I realized, you know what? These kids are on their own. Where is she getting this from? Obviously, direct. From Himmel up, yeah? The next girl I spoke to was from here. When she starts saying, my mother is a hypocrite and she tells me to do this and that, so how am I supposed to? I said, whoa. There are no mothers. Forget. In this generation, I just found out, if you want to do the right thing, do it. You're on your own, make or break. She said, oh, okay. This is reality. There is no support. They're on their own. You give them something, they'll go for it. You don't give them, they'll do whatever they want. So the hefkedus is endless. Bligvul. There's a mila in that, and of course there's a great chassan in that. So Herman Wouk, many, many years ago, was by the Rebbe, and he said to the Rebbe, the Rebbe was telling him what the Rebbe's plans are, America. So Herman Wouk said, this is not Europe. In America, you can't tell anybody to do anything. So the Rebbe said, that's right. You can't tell young people to do anything, but if you teach them, they can do everything. There's a breitkeit, an independence, whatever, a chutzpah. If you teach kids today what they should do, they can do everything. They're not afraid of, nothing stops them. So, what happened to our ability to convey Chassidus?
Second, have you seen Herman Wouk's plea for learning Torah?
What is it, a clip?
It's fantastic.
A video?
A video. On YouTube, he has there's an hour where he reads from his books.
Who's that?
Herman Wouk. The last 10 minutes, 51, 52. Just go ahead. Read.
What is it about?
About learning Torah. He says he has a wish, the hope, that kids are going to meet in the street and people are going to say, what are you learning? Eret Mamish, he says, when will it be? He says, a Manhattan-like project, mit Iberkehr in the Welt. I'm so passionate learning.
This is Denenbaum's Hashpah.
Unbelievable. I said, you're going away from this point, which is like a very, very, very powerful nakuda. What to tell kids?
Yeah.
Are we all?
And how? What and
What to
how?
tell them is what to show them.
It's also true. I saw by my brother.
See, it's more powerful than they hear.
By my brother downstairs in Tzach. He has a wall of pictures.
Oh, that's wall. We can stand there.
Yeah.
Look at it and look at
We
it.
can read and show is Lashon Hara.
No, the pictures.
I know, wegen the pictures can we read and
Ah.
Anyway, he has a picture there of David Raskin, Solange, dancing on the table with Mendel Futefes. And David is obviously like after Afula Chayims. But you see standing around, you see young Bachrim standing around watching. What those Bachrim saw that night will keep them from... There's no other way. There's no other way. They saw something that night, just in that dance. They didn't understand what they were looking at, but on tshuva elze nicht weg. There's what did we do? How can you teach Chassidus so poorly that it actually turns somebody off. That's mamish a genius. Like, how can you do that? One of the ways to do that is to say, "Come, let's learn Chassidus. I'll explain," and then you don't explain. You say, "Cool, this is Geschmack, we'll learn, we'll understand," and then it turns out, I don't understand anything. Und wir können nicht verstehen. So what did you just do? If you say, Zog Tanya, like Svardim say Zeha, or Shirashirim, okay, some will, some won't. But at least you're being honest. If you say, I'll explain it, and then you don't explain it, the frustration and the anger and the disillusionment for some reason, I don't know when it happened or how it happened, but at some point, we stopped even trying to understand Chassidus. And part of the excuse was Hamaisa Hu Hayikir. I remember sitting in 770, looking at the clock to see if I'm old enough to get married because I want to get out of here. Why? You saw shluchim doing things like, come on, that's life. Go do, start a Chabad house, run a program, be makar of people, talk to all the hippies. Because by me, all the goyim were all the non-fruma were hippies. There was chassidim and hippies. That was it. So I couldn't wait. Like, somebody marry me already so I can go on shlichus. The learning was. Now, of course, I'd love to go back to yeshiva. So of course, the Rebbe always said, "Hamaisa hu ha'ikar." But does that mean I'm a dafshenish learner? So I was talking to a group of shluchim, and I said, "Hamaisa hu ha'ikar doesn't mean hamaisa hu hakol." Teach up the werte. Hamaisa hu ha'ikar. So tell me, the maisa is the ikir of what? It's nicht again. Nicht again. Hamaisa hu ha'ikar. So then one of the shluchim takers said, the Rebbe always said Hamaisa hu ha'ikar at the end of a 40-minute sikha. What were the first 39 minutes? Nicht negea, Hamaisa hu ha'ikar. No wonder. It's not Chassidus. Shut up and do it. It's not Chassidus. Certainly not Chabad. What is Chabad? Chabad is the pshat. Shut up and do it makes perfect sense. That's Chabad. If you can show me how it makes perfect sense that I should shut up and do it, that's awesome. Das heißt a seichel diker bittel. And the bittel is real. It's not seichel not bittel al pi seichel. It's real bittel. And seichel says that that's the right thing to do. So somebody asked me, I'm going to start teaching Chassidus, what should I teach? I said, that's a really stupid question. What are you asking? What should you teach? Teach what you know. Not open a maimer and what are you doing? You're going to sit there and learn with them. You don't know what you're saying. You're learning the maimer for the first time. The only thing you can teach is what you know and it means something to you. Otherwise, what are you doing? Making a linen? That's the first thing. The second thing is these kids need to be challenged, not pampered. if a bacher sits in yeshiva and is not inspired, it's not because he learned too much, it's because he didn't learn enough. If a bacher says, I'm turned off to Chassidus, he means I don't have enough Chassidus. That's Pasha Taich of the words. I'm talking to the college teachers, and they're all saying, you can't expect too much. Metala chumris, metala hidurim. You gotta, be realistic, because today children, people, and even rabbonim, frume rabbonim in Eretz Yisrael, are paskening that you have to make sure that it's not too heavy, not too much, not too dust. Marshall, one of the things, there was a question of should kalas be encouraged to take the pill before the chasana, to make sure that it wouldn't be a chupas nida. And the Rabbanim paskin that absolutely you must tell them, because if you don't, and it's a chupas nida, is a churm. That is so wrong. I mean, it could be al pi halacha, paskin al pi halacha, but al pi chassidus, if there's a weakness in tznius, I don't mean just the dress, then what is the solution? Less? Less? Where did this come from? How can less be a solution? If Chassidus is the cure to all chayli hanefesh, so less is a better cure? So today, dafke today, every kala teacher and every mashpia and every chosen teacher should tell the kalas and the chsanim, try to have a chupas nida. I mean, try. I mean, what can you do? But don't be so worried. If it comes out chupas nida, it's better that way. What do you have to start your relationship dafke begashmis? Give yourself a little time.
Why are you saying that?
Huh?
Why are you saying that?
Because it's edel.
Huh?
Because it's edel.
Yeah, but it's not really. But when they're getting married, they're very nervous and waiting another week after get married. Very simple.
You know?
I was involved with a lot of friends of mine, close friends, and they were very disappointed that their kala did not take it, that pill, and they started to go with a younger brother and go and take and this.
Yeah.
I'm going back now a good couple of years ago.
Yeah. So of course, if you're not told that there's a maila in it,
Maybe that's
then you're devastated, because you what you were planning, what you were thinking, but if you know l'chatchila, it's forget it, it's a maila. And it's strange, heintike bacherim, not the most, the kafel shmeina, they understand it, they get it. They herren us, because the grobkeit is too obvious. And when you say to them, cool it, better, you say, yeah, that's a get. That starts to make sense. So verkehrt. I mean, we have to be convinced. If there's a schwachkeit, it's because there isn't enough, not because we're asking too much. That's how reform, that's how conservatives started. If you ask less, it'll be better. Was it does. How can less edelkeit and less chassidus be better? It can't. So you have to challenge them. Say, that if it's a chupas nida, they're going to be over on all sorts of things in zijn achurm. Say verkehrt. Can you be a mensch or not? They want to be challenged. They don't need you to give them.
This with young Chasanu. They understood this. They accepted this.
I had this conversation with a guy who's mamash fry. A guy used to come here. He's married. He has a couple of kids already, and married probably like 6-7 years. He told me there's two things just killing me. I was like very inspired that he was actually doing it. I said, wow. But
What was he doing?
Hmm?
What was he
He was
doing?
keeping it 2 weeks. He was keeping it. I was very inspired. That's nice intro.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
You're obviously a grandfather.
That the grandchild's lamb.
Close. Similar.
Resembles.
Yeah.
So he was keeping.
Pachoja.
And he's telling me, his, what should I do? My wife wants to keep it. I can't handle it. It's too much for me. So I told him, just think about it like this. When you have it, if you're able to go 2 weeks without it, that means you're a man. If you can't go 2 weeks without it, you're like an animal. So here is your 2 weeks to prove that you can be a man, not just and you know, he got it right away. And he said, thanks, that makes sense. And I know this guy's not keeping much, but he totally understood.
So a younger man called me a while ago. Didn't give me his name. He says, I don't want to tell you who I am. I'm from Crown Heights. I'm not frying out. I'm not turned off. I'm poshet. I'm a younger man. I'm living 3 years. I'm married. And I woke up yesterday and I realized I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing in marriage and intimacy. I don't know right from wrong. Ich weiß nicht. How am I supposed to find out? So I said, are you the only one, or is there a whole group of this? He said, I'm ashamed to talk to anybody. But I'm sure he's not the only one. He's just able enough to be bothered by it. But he wasn't asking for hetedim. He probably wanted to know what's right and what's wrong. What do you do? What's edel? What's acceptable? What? So if you take a look, as long as we're on that subject, if you take a look in Shulchan Aruch says that between a husband and wife everything is mutter. Do whatever you want. Aber this is grub, and this is ein lebeishes ponim, and this is you'll have kalike kinder, and this. But you can do whatever you want, which is very realistic. Realistic is what you're gonna make it an avela. You're married, do whatever you want. Now, will sein a Mensch. You want a little edelkeit in your life. You want a little lichtigkeit. This, that. You want to have good children. Hitzach medem. You want your wife to respect you, which is an unusual, rare.
This is the right topic.
Then raise your standards and she'll be able to look up to you. But otherwise, everything's mutter. Do whatever you want. As much as you want. So when the Kala teachers say, but you are allowed, so why tell them, yeah, you're allowed. You're allowed to be a behema. You're allowed to be a chayir. You can be whatever you want. That's why you need a Kala teacher. If a Kala teacher says to a Kala, try your best and do whatever you can. What do you need her for? Well, this is a message, this is a statement, this is a hiro. A Kala comes to a Kala teacher, this is the moment that she is most idealistic. If not now, otherwise, there are plenty of girls who get married and don't go to a Kala teacher. If she comes to a Kala teacher and you're going to sell her potatoes, it's not nice. It's not nice. You're underestimating the young people, and you're not giving them a challenge. And without a challenge, they'll go someplace else.
Teaching the man as much as you're able to explain.
Yes.
And live up to it.
So I said to the shluchos that people are attracted to a Chabad house for one of two reasons. Because there are two things that people are drawn to. There are two things that attract. Eir and Chayes. like in Yutes Kislev, Erev Chayes Nafsheinu Niten Lo. These two things are so attractive that you don't have to explain and you don't have to say anything. And everybody, without exception, everybody is attracted to light, except maybe demented Mishigoyim. Everybody is attracted to light, and everybody is attracted to warmth. A human being who is not attracted, you don't want him in your Chabad house. So what is Eir and Chayes? Eir means Edelkeit. And Chayes means Geschmack, enthusiasm. If people see that you have an Edelkeit, they can't argue with you. Edelkeit always wins. By any normal human being, when he sees something edel, he can't refuse, he can't resist, and he can't argue. Safart edel. So they see a husband and wife, shluchim, in the Chabad house, and they see how the husband and wife talk to each other, and it's much more edel than what they're used to. That's it. That's it. No further questions. In addition to that, if they see that you have a chayes in the things that are edel, that you're getting a pleasure from what you're doing, the pleasure itself is attractive. How do all the cults attract people? The guru, the guy, shows that he is having the most fun in the world. No, so everybody runs. If you can combine the two, Edelkeit with a chayes, that's it. We've won the war. Nobody will resist that. So the truth is that by shluchim, you're not smarter than your balabatim. We got to get this through our heads. We learned a few more things and we speak a little more Hebrew. You're not smarter than your balabatim. And you don't have to be. You have to be edler than your balabatim. Because otherwise, what are you offering? The same is true with the bocherim. If a bocher sees that there is an edelkeit and there's a gishmak, why does he have to go play with dangerous drugs when he has something irresistible right here? Of course, now that you think about it, where does a bocher see edelkeit? In this community? This is New York. You don't see edelkeit there. Say somebody, what is the difference between New York and California and LA? In LA, when people are driving, they have road rage. In New York, they have road rage even when they're not driving. Stam brigus, for no reason at all. So they look around, the Bacharim, they look around, and they don't see any reason to be interested. Now you come along and you say, if you give a boy attention, if you take an interest in him, they'll respond. This is a gimmick. Avada, everybody likes attention. Where's the Chassidus?
Well, it opens the door.
That's all it does.
Well, that's very cool.
Yes. But you got to have the message ready because the door will open. Then what? So
learning Chassidus with these young boys, learning with them a little Tanya, learning them, but give them a little more.
Learn with them what some of you have a geschmack in already, and then that geschmack will be
Like you said before, right? Something.
What?
so if
More learning with them like other things, every little chumash,
What age are you?
I'm asking. I'm just.
yeah.
What age are you referring to? Again?
All ages.
Because I mean, I don't understand. If you don't mind me saying this idea of when you have, for example, 14-year-olds anyone who's ever taught in Crown Heights, so you'll see, you go to school, and in the schools, the 14-year-olds are like, no one in the classes are listening to anything really. No one is paying attention. Guys are walking in and out, they're doing whatever they want. So this idea of Edelkeit,
Look, I never made it to
and
Crown Heights.
you know, you walk in there like, you know, the idealistic teacher walks in through the class. He's like, you know, I'm gonna present myself as this Edel. I mean, you know, with a chayas, and meanwhile you get like pummeled.
You'll get a chance.
You get like, you don't get a chance. You get bulldozed over. I mean, this is, we're talking about 13, 14-year-olds. I mean, the schools, and like no one is learning anything in the schools. Unfortunately, there's something like there's something lacking in the. I don't know if I can make a judgment, but I feel there's something missing in the educational model in the schools, that the kids are not.
Even at 14, it's too late already.
That's too late.
Yeah.
It's totally. You know, I'm talking about guys that are not. We're talking about they're not into girls, and I mean, sorry, they are into, but they're not openly into drugs and.
They haven't come out of the closet
They
yet.
haven't come out of the closet. We're talking about 14, and
Yeah.
they're in it. They're into
The
it.
13-year-olds are already into girls in the Tzaddik. 13-year-olds?
Some of them the boys also.
Yeah.
Whatever. No, but I'm saying, yeah, they are into.
But when was it? Last week, I spoke to Ola Taylor, Chevra Taylor, to the
He
Mesifta.
spoke in Yiddish. He spoke
To the
in,
Mesifta.
in English.
Yeah. What were they? 14-year-olds? 14-year-olds. We told them to write up their questions. Get about 100 questions,
Whoa.
and we sat for almost 3 hours.
What?
You went through all of them?
And they
What
sat for
questions did
3.
These kids have?
What are the top 3 questions that you had?
Also from how do you become a Chassidish Bacher, to what's wrong with dating.
13-year-old
I'll-
kids, no?
Else,
And she'll let
from one extreme to the other, but
the next generation coming to Aliyah.
but it was
You better get that building.
Get that building quick.
but they were interested, and I think most of them understood. So there is the positive side, that if you talk tachlis, if you talk real. So I don't know if what we think by Edelkeit, I don't mean timid. If a teacher walks in edel, I don't mean he walks in insecure. That's not what I mean by Edelkeit. Edelkeit would mean a bacher knows something like Mayim Achreinim. He knows he's supposed to wash Mayim Achreinim. If you give him a hezber, what Mayim Achreinim is, and it's an Edelkeit, they love it. That's what I mean by Edelkeit. I don't mean I don't mean timid.
You want a vibration on your...
This is much better. This is way better. Everyone's vibration.
Not today, you don't hear anybody reading. It's always...
Yeah. Anyway,
What
if you show a bacher how to think edel, they love it. You can't resist edelkeit. It's infectious. It's contagious. You show a bacher what is an edel in midah. I just turned it off. Er lacht zich eens van. I turn it off and hij lacht zich eens.
What do you?
A bacher asked me just now. A bacher asked me, he's angry at God because too many tragedies going on.
Tragedies in the neighborhood.
So he's angry at God. So I said to him, being angry at God is very legitimate. But every shmendrik can be angry at God. Because if you think something is happening that shouldn't happen, it doesn't take much. You don't have to be a a delicate, special soul to be bothered by the fact that people are dying for nothing. So if it upsets you that people are dying for nothing, is a simon that you're able, or that you're sensitive, or that you have a good heart? Doesn't mean anything. On the other hand, if somebody says to you, I'm in a lot of pain, for whatever, physical pain, emotional pain, I'm in a lot of pain, and you say, yeah, I don't understand what God is doing, the person you're talking to will not appreciate that. I'm talking to you about my pain, and you want to talk philosophy, why the Eibishter does. What'd you change the subject for? The real good heart, a lev tov, doesn't mean you're upset at the Eibishter because I'm suffering. Lev tov means feel what I'm feeling. Suffer with me. You want to discuss theology? I'm in pain right now. I don't want to hear your philosophy about the Eibishter.
What if they ask you the question? A lot of times people ask you, if there's a God, why did
What they need, don't fall for it. What they need is, yes, I feel your pain. Get into a discussion about, no, that's not what they need. No. But the ikir is, what's more edel? That you're upset that there's an avla, that something went wrong, or that you feel another person's pain. So if you want to be a mensch, you have the option. Either be angry at the Eibishter, or focus on the pain. That's the difference between asking, like Goyim ask, why do bad things happen to good people? Which means injustice, haitochen, versus asking, why do good people suffer? Why do good people suffer? That means I'm suffering with them. Are bad things happening? That's not my problem. So, which is more edel? Obviously, if you're willing to feel another person's pain, that's a lot more edel than saying, yeah, how come God does that? Secondly, how come God does that? Next year, 5 years, 10 years, you'll figure it out. In the meantime, you're ignoring people's pain because you're busy with your tightness, with your shyless. People, is a young bacher, it makes sense. Edelkeit makes sense. Not only makes sense, it's compelling. You can't argue with it. So that's what I mean by edelkeit. So if you explain in every story in Torah, you say, should we learn Chumash? If you learn Chumash, you're going to have to explain it al pi Chassidus anyway, because without it, it's nicht gemeises. It doesn't make any. Moshe Rabbeinu hit the rock and he couldn't go into Eretz Yisrael. What do you want from me? Why did he hit the rock? I don't know. Why can't he go into Eretz Yisrael? That was the punishment. Leave me alone. I don't see any. You show him the edelkeit of the story. It's an ander Welt. I was talking to a guy, a Ponovitcher, Koilman. And we were talking about this topic. And he, of course, insisted that the only reason, the only purpose, the only need for mitzvahs is l'tzarev b'emes habriyos. And I'm saying, so at the end I said to him, if it's only l'tzarev b'emes habriyos, so what does it mean, ivdu es Hashem? How are you serving the Eibishter? By doing what's good for you. So this Talmud Chacham, future Godel, Rashke Bahag, he says, that's the one thing I never understood. Other than that, Menachat Tzaddik. You hear what he didn't understand? There's one thing he didn't understand. Ivdu es Hashem, I don't know. Let me learn the Gemara. So if you sit in a Lubavitcher school, and the one thing you didn't get is that the Meibishten is Negeya Amitzvah. Okay, otherwise I'm fine. That's shocking. So let's talk tachlis. When you sit with a bacher who's off the path, you expect him to become Hashem Shabbos? Or you expect him to be a Chassidish young man? If you talk to anybody, a guy off the street, you want him to become modern Orthodox? Or you want him to become a Chassid? It's time to reveal the secret. Are we out to make everybody into Chassidim or not? Once and for all.
Of course.
They just A, B, C together.
Dennis
Of course.
Prager says that he's been with Chabad long enough, and he could say honestly that we don't have an agenda of making anybody a Lubavitcher. He would have realized, if that was our agenda, he would have realized already.
Darf man sich behalten vom Busche. That is a tragedy. Narvos. What does it mean to be a Lubavitcher Chassid? You have to live in Crown Heights. You have to go to 770 and learn for a few years.
We're talking now about
Or do you put on film like a Lubavitcher Chassid? So if you put on film because Chassidus, then you're a Chassid. If you do whatever it is, you come to hear the Megillah because of Chassidus, then your Yiddishkeit is Chassidus. But to think that first we'll put on film, which has nothing to do with Chassidus, then maybe years later, what do you mean? Who puts on film with people if not Chassidus? So in the putting on of tefillin, the whole message of Chassidus is right there. Du bist ha'id, du hast eine Neshama, the Eibishter needs you to put on tefillin. The whole Chassidus is right there. I was speaking to this guy, Rader. You know Rader?
Who?
Rader. From England. The famous, Benzine Rader. You know what I'm talking about?
What does he do?
He's an accountant, I think.
Huh?
Shimmy Weinbaum's grandfather.
He's an accountant. He became the Skadiv. He did the Rebbe many favors. He helped get Branover out of. I don't remember a lot of things that he did. And just a couple of weeks ago, we spent Shabbos, and he told the story. The guy is British. You know what I mean? He's a gentleman. He's,
Picanti.
Proper.
yes. He's not from Brooklyn. So he tells a story that he came to a Farbrengen, and the Rebbe told him to say L'chaim. He said L'chaim. By the next nigun, the Rebbe told him again to say L'chaim. He said L'chaim. And this is by him already like 2 drinks in a row. Is not normal. And the pushing and the schwitzing, and this is like... Anyway, so middle of Farbrengen, he had to go out. The next night he went into Yechidus. So the Rebbe said to him, I noticed that you walked out by the Farbrengen. Did I make you uncomfortable by telling you to say L'chaim? So he says to the Rebbe, and complete tmimus. He said to the Rebbe, there is nothing the Rebbe can tell me to do that would make me uncomfortable. So I went over to him later and I said, I've always had a suspicion that some of the biggest Chassidim never learned in 770, and you just proved it. I mean, such a derher, there's nothing you can say that would make me uncomfortable. I don't remember why I told the story. What were we talking about? I got a little fablonget over here. What were we talking about? Huh? Oh, what is a chassid? He didn't learn in 770. Is he a chassid? And not just a chassid erfolgt dem Rebbe. He has a Rebbe. A lot of people listen to the Rebbe. You get good advice, you listen. So, our goal is definitely, obviously, necessarily that every Jew in the world should be a chassid. But the mayonis, not the shtick. They don't need chassidish shtick. Everybody has to have the mayonis of the Baal Shem Tov. So, l'moshel, you have people who hang around the Chabad house 5 years, 6 years. They come every Shabbos. They come every Yom de Pagra. They come every Fabrengen. And you ask them, so are you Chabad? And they say, no. That is such a failure. How could that happen? What are we doing wrong? And to make matters worse, after 5 or 6 years of coming to everything else, they go off to Eish HaTorah, and they learn over there for half a year, and they're Eish. Yeah, that they became. Hanging around the Chabad house. What is this? So either you can be proud and say, you see, we don't push our agenda. Then you're dishonest. And how do you call that kiruv? You're going to be a chassid and run to the oil and fabring, and they should be shomer Shabbos. Das heißt kiruv. That's called richuk. You stay over there. Put on film. It's enough. What is that? It's not nice. So, I would love to see people sitting in a Chabad house. All sorts of people. Yes, Shemesh Shabbos, not Shemesh Shabbos. Sit Shabbos afternoon and read Likutei Deburim.
Translated in English.
Those are in English.
No, it's right.
Yeah.
But
But what I mean by that is,
I'm bringing the stories.
there's a woman from Colorado who became this kind of very, very intelligent, simple, honest, a Baal Shemske type. And she's hanging around and she's learning and she's frum and she's edel and then she says, one day I picked up the memoirs. I don't know the last time you read the memoirs. She says, I picked up the memoirs. Why didn't anybody tell me? Now I see. Now I see what a chassid is, what Chassidus is, why it came. How come nobody told me this? Our own boys, did they ever read the memoir?
Yeah.
They ever read the long brief?
Around, yeah.
How can you be a chassid without that?
Without what?
Without that. The lange brief, the letter to the Rebbetzin. You're missing the aleph bays, the building blocks, the what are you doing? What? So there's no Baal Shem Tov, there's no Alter Rebbe, there's no Sicha, there's just the conclusion of the Sicha. What have we become? And then you're surprised that Bachrim are turned off, they're not challenged, they don't feel excited. Shmuel Levittin was a very smart man. Kula Alma Meide. He once said, back in those years, there were only three centers. there was Crown Heights, there was Montreal, there was Kfar Chabad. There was nothing. That was it. See, he said like this: Montreal is Chabad Shebechabad. Kfar Chabad is Chagas Shebechabad. And Crown Heights is Nehi Shebechabad. It's so on target. Crown Heights is Amaisa Huaike. And it's always been like that. But again, the ikir of what?
There's a person who's not here, wasn't here today. Couldn't make it, but he asked me. I don't know if there's time just to.
Well,
I mean, just the
Ganze-
questions. We might have addressed some of them already.
Ganze Megillah. Oh, it's a number of questions.
There's three basically. We might have addressed.
Earlier detection. How do you work with schools or parents to get these youth before they get to the point where we are getting them earlier? In essence, how do schools or parents take some responsibility for the problem? Number 2, drug awareness in the community. How to balance the need to educate the community with the reality that we can't handle or doesn't want to handle the truth. Vis-a-vis drugs, the community has its head in the sand. Hmm? Even with regard to adults. Number 3, suggested approaches and program models that aren't being done now. The people in the room are all working on various strategies to whatever degree of success or lack thereof. What strategies are not being employed that need to be, that you think would be good to whatever?
Doesn't matter.
You want me to read them or not?
You can if you want to. I wouldn't understand.
I'm not sure what practical, I don't have any practical abilities. But there are 2 prongs that need to be approached. The Asay Tev and the Sur Mirah. The Asay Tev is Poshet, learn Gishmaki Chassidus, that is irresistible, that is compelling, that is enlightening, that elevates, doesn't put down. That's number 1. That's the Asay Tev. The Sur Mirah, Chassidus Sur Mirah, means I'm not impressed with an Avera. Sur Mirah doesn't mean don't do the Avera. Sur Mirah means don't be impressed with an Avera. There's Tev and there's Ra. Be impressed with how good the good is. Don't be impressed with how bad is. It's not impressive. It's bad. An Avera. Rebbe once said that the Tachlis HaKavana of the Neshama coming down Lamata is not for Sur Mirah. It's for the Asay Tev. What's the Seichel? Sur Mirah, if that's what you want, then stay Lamaila. If you stay Lamaila, there's no Ra. So obvious. Hmm?
Scoff you. You don't have a mind. That's pretty tough.
Yeah, but to say that you come down just to not sin, to show a chokhmah. So the Ike Kavana is the Asay Tev. What's with the Sur Mirah? Ra is Ra. Was machst da Tumova? What do you?
Making it serious about it.
Yeah. There was a woman in Crown Heights years ago, started a whole scandal. She seduced up as one of the Balabatim, and they had an affair, and it was horrible. But after she calmed down and found out, she was from Abasera's Talmidim before he became a Chassid. Upstate New York, he had a macrobiotic cult or something, whatever. And she came, and she got involved with this guy. Anyway, so it was a big scandal in town. after she found out a little bit more, learned a little bit more, she asked if she could come to Beis Yisrael, because there was no Machon Chana yet. So Beis Yisrael wrote to the Rebbe with a panic.
What?
A panic. Let her back into Crown Heights? Dann gemacht achurb. So the Rebbe's answer was, Chas v'sholem, to tell a Jewish girl that she's not welcome to Beis Yisrael. Aye, she's going to make people sin. Was wärst du zerkratzt von einer Avere? So you'll do tshuva, so don't sin. It's the chap and patch. What are you making? A Jewish girl wants to come to... Oh, but she might sin. What's it does? We have to tell Bacher at a very young age. Because a Bacher who does an Aveda, like he was asking, where do you go? He feel, can beinen ehrlich nicht sein, I already did an Aveda. That's it, it's over. I'm lost. I'm bad. Where do you get this from? What kind of a snagdische attitude? How did that slip in? I remember we were verbringing in Bedford, and the mashpia was talking about who was it? I forget the name. One Alter Rebbe's Chassidim, and he spoke with a lisp. And he said that what does it mean a chassid goes into Yechidus? How do you, wo kriegst du, wo gehst du? What are you doing going into Yechidus? You don't belong there. It's not right. It's not right. Befrat, you go in there without the proper hachanas. So it's like walking into a clean room with dirty boots. Was kriegst du? So he said that this chassid used to say, a misnagid is a portrait, a portrait. A chassid is via veremel. Kriegt a yain and kriegt a yes. So what does that mean? A misnagid is a portrait. If you get it right, it's good. If not, you throw it out. A chassid is flexible. I don't belong, I go, I'll come out, I'll go back again, I'll try again. Who says you have to be perfect?